What's going on? Hope you are doing well today. We're going to go ahead and look at some headlines from the news and learn some nice phrasal verbs and expressions and new vocabulary. So, today's headlines, I found a headline that uses the phrasal verb to break down. So, this headline says it's from USA Today. It says $1,200 checks, money for schools, breaking down what Republicans and Democrats want in the coronavirus stimulus plan. So, to break something down is basically a form of analyzing something, right? So, we use this phrase to talk about analyzing something. So, I could say, I'm going to break it down for you. It's like I'm going to put it into pieces so you understand it better, so we can analyze this better, to break something down. It can also be literal, right? Like we break boxes down, so we flatten them. You might say, break these boxes down so we can recycle them. I'm breaking down a box, right? But when we talk about it in terms of a concept or an idea, when we break it down, we kind of separate it into individual sections so that we can analyze it better. So we're breaking something down. Maybe another example could be like to understand complex algorithms, it's best to break it down into pieces. Or to the example that we're all experiencing, if you want to learn a language, sometimes you have to break it down into different parts and analyze each part or learn each part in order to put everything together. You have to break it down. So the next headline is how Apple's stock split will change the pecking order in the 124-year-old Dow Industrials. So don't worry too much about everything there because you have to have some knowledge about stocks, so that might be confusing, but the word I want to focus on, or the phrase I want to focus on, is the pecking order. So this comes from farming, actually, I believe. Well, from like chickens and birds, right? Birds peck, like chickens peck. And so the pecking order is kind of like the hierarchy, really, is what they're talking about. When I was a kid, my grandpa always used to tell me that, my older brothers needed to beat up on me and they needed to show me the pecking order. And that was basically, making an analogy to he grew up on a farm and he understood that, the big chickens or the big birds would peck on the little birds because that was the pecking order. That was the hierarchy. You have to know your role in the pecking order. So basically, this headline is talking about the pecking order in the economy and in the stock market, and something that Apple is doing with splitting its stock is going to change the pecking order. So there will be a new hierarchy, basically. So that is what the pecking order is. I don't know how common this phrase is. I know when I see it, I recognize it right away, the pecking order, because of my personal experience. But I don't know. I'd imagine almost everybody would realize what that means. But anyway, we do have this phrase that is the pecking order, and it refers to hierarchies, right? And it goes back to the chickens pecking, because when you hit something with your nose, that's called pecking. All right, now let's look at this headline here. This is a phrase I really enjoy. A new restaurant goes back to the drawing board to open during the pandemic. So going back to the drawing board I use this phrase all the time. It's an expression that basically means you're starting from zero. You're going back to brainstorming. You're going back to coming up with ideas because your ideas aren't working. So you have to go back to the drawing board. And the drawing board just refers to where you're basically drawing up new ideas, or you're brainstorming, you're coming up with ideas. So that's going back to the drawing board. So, for example, if I propose an idea to my boss and my boss doesn't like it, I might say, oh, great. Oh, I guess it's back to the drawing board. It's like, I guess it's back to square one. We have a few phrases back to ground zero. But all of these are phrases when something's not working and you have to start back at the very beginning, or you have to backtrack a little bit and start from zero. So that's back to the drawing board. Now, this next phrasal verb is a very common one. You're probably already familiar with it, but I wanted to point it out because I saw it in a headline today. Tech competitors are blown away by Congress's CEO grilling and hopeful for antitrust reform. So, if you're not familiar with this story, some of the tech CEOs of like Facebook and I think Amazon and who's the other guy? There was another person up there. I covered it in the last lesson, the same story, but Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and a few other people were on Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill is where Congress meets, right? And they were being asked questions about technology, which is always funny because some of the people in Congress clearly don't understand some of the stuff in technology, and so you get a good laugh out of it. But anyway, tech competitors are blown away by something. So they're surprised, they're shocked, they're blown away. If I'm blown away, I don't understand something or I'm confused by something and just blown away by this. I'm surprised by it, right? And then another phrase that we use is kind of like a colloquialism. It's something that has probably become a word that's pretty common now. I think pretty much everybody is using it, but I think it started maybe more as a slang. So Congress's CEO grilling, right? So grilling someone is like interrogating someone. It's like asking a lot of questions and really putting them under a flame, right? Because literally to grill something is cooking something under a flame. We grill food, right? We throw chicken on the grill, you grill your meats. But we use this phrase a lot to talk about being interrogated or being asked a lot of invasive questions. So, for example, if I'm a teenager and I was out late and I get home, my parents want to know where I was, who I was with, what I was doing, why I was out later than I said I would be. And I might say, guys, why are you grilling me? Why are you grilling me? Back off, all right? Why am I getting grilled for this? I'm an adult, typical teenager. Anyway, so that is what grilling someone is. We use that a lot. It's very common now. And as you can see in this headline, it's something that you will notice a lot. Okay, so that is our lesson today. Just a couple of quick expressions, phrasal verbs, and new vocabulary there for you. Please have a look down in the description if you want to follow up with some of these articles. I have links to all of them in the description. And I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Please let me know if you have any questions, and keep studying and keep learning. See you in the next lesson.